Okay, well, let's just start with your name and where you're from.
Hi, I'm Heather and I'm from Pensacola, Florida.
And why did you join the Slay Squad? What were you originally struggling with that made you want to get some help?
So, originally, when I was looking to join the Slave Squad, I wanted consistency. I've always been really active throughout my life. However, I really hadn't been consistent in working out or staying active for almost a decade. So, I would start a program, everything would be great. And then ultimately, it would be too much in terms of like, 7 days a week, you work out 6 days hard, hit workouts, and then you have one recovery day. And so once I'd miss one workout, I'd be like, okay, well, I can't make that workout, I can't make it up. And
Hmm.
so I would ultimately just get kind of defeated and quit. And I'm very much like a to-do list type person. So for me, when I would miss one, it would kind of just snowball. And so originally I wanted to get back into just feeling good. And I know that like working out is a huge part. It doesn't, have to be these which I'm a recovering, I will say this like beach body workout person, but it was like you have to go as hard as possible and you have to push yourself to like the extreme or you're not doing it right. And so basically for me, I knew that being active is important, especially because I am like early 40s. And so I know that you start losing like muscle and bone mass and all these things. And but it was hard to find anything that fit into my schedule. I have 3 kids, and so for me, it was like I don't want to make those decisions. I make a million decisions between work and my kids' lives. I just wanted someone that could tell me like this is all you need to do. If you follow all these things, then you will have great success.
I relate to that a lot. Like, yeah, we make so many decisions. You have so much you have to worry about as a mom, just day to day. It's nice with your own like nutrition and training, have someone else guide you.
Yeah, well, and someone too that knows what they're doing, because for me, nutrition's always also like it's always been the hardest part. And I know that's true of so many women. But I grew up in the 90s, so Special K diet, like
Yep.
and basically fat-free everything, especially growing up in Arizona where everyone is very health conscious. So I feel like I didn't really know. Like I have always loved fruits, vegetables, eating healthy, but also there's a lot of confusion. Like you don't always know like I've never counted macros before I joined the Slay Squad. And so like having just this different perspective, nutrition was also very important to me.
Yes, and I love that you brought up that you've tried so many things, but everything that was extreme just didn't last because that's something that I wish more people understood is that if it's really hard to do, like doesn't fit into your lifestyle, the chance of you being successful long term is next to nothing. It needs to be something that fits into your life, even if it's 3 days a week. Even if you feel like it's not as much as you would like to do, consistency over a long time, it's way more powerful than extremes over like a sprint.
Yes. Well, and you ultimately, which I have done many a time, I feel like at this point in my life, it's like I realize this about myself as a personality trait, that I will, in all aspects, go as hard as I can and burn myself out. And
Hmm.
that's not just on like working out, that's in work life, that's in my personal life. Like I'll just be like, okay, we're gonna, and basically white knuckle it through. But the thing that I think for me, and I do think a lot of the women that I've talked to as well, it's like that white knuckling, you can only hold on for so long
Hmm.
before you can't do it anymore. And so,
Hmm.
it works for a little bit. And I've tried, not just, I mean, I've tried everything. Like I've tried South Beach diet, we did Weight Watchers, and then my Fitness Pal. And honestly, I talked about this with Lindsay when we were when we had our first meeting. And I told her, in my past, when she was like, well, we count macros, I was like, oh no, because, with my fitness pal, I actually was so like obsessed with the tracking, and the way that they lay it out versus like how we have it in the app is like where you hit like within a certain range, right?
Hmm.
I don't have to be perfect. I just
Yeah.
need to make the circle go to green and be full. And to me that for some reason like tricks my brain into being like, okay, like you're good.
Hmm.
Versus I remember very vividly years ago, tracking. And not only that, but they would allow you to, you'd put in like, I was running at the time. You run, you can eat back all these calories, which for someone who, they started me at a 1200 calorie day, I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to eat 400 extra calories. Then I'm planning, I'm doing all of, and it just became like this obsessive, like, and also I want to be perfect. I want all like, and if I didn't have a perfect day, ultimately I would self-sabotage and I'd be like, well, I've already ruined it. My fitness pal told me, so I'm
Yeah.
going to eat everything. And so yeah, so
Yeah, 100%. And that's a big part of like my philosophy is thinking of things as averages and ranges because
mhm,
no one day is going to like screw you over. And even like calories, if you're within 100 up or down, like you count that as a win. Like every day is a little different. Things that you want to eat are a little different. Life is busy. If you're consistent and you're consistently close, that's good. Like it doesn't have to be super rigid.
yeah.
Yeah. So, what did you accomplish in the program and what has your experience been like?
So far I have accomplished, I have lost inches, but more importantly, I have toned a lot. And so, just looking at like the starting photos that I had versus, and that's another thing I love about the app because I never took photos,
Hmm.
So in my mind's eye, I'd be like, oh, I look different. And I feel, as women, like one day I can be so happy with it. And then the next day, and that was something that Lindsay, my coach, had said, she's like, make sure you take your photos because when you're having those days, you can look back and be like, wow, like I really have toned up. I can see the difference between this day and this day. And so just really definition, and definition of my abs after having three kids, which, I think is a huge success. And then as well as just feeling better overall. Like I feel like my gut health has improved. I feel like foundation, like my mind shift. Like for example, I'm not saying I love to do this, but I now like schedule my workouts in, and it doesn't happen every day with three kids and full-time job, but I get up routinely at 5 a.m. because I want to get my workout in before the world wakes up and the day gets crazy.
Yeah.
And so when that alarm gets off every morning right now, I go, okay. But then I think to myself, I'm like, do you want to go and have just 40 minutes by yourself to concentrate on what you want to do? And it's the one thing that I know for a fact 4 times a week I get to do for myself,
Yeah.
right? Like I
Hmm.
don't get to do very many things. And so for me, that has become like a huge shift in, you know, literally getting up before everybody else. It allows me to like get ready for my day before the baby wakes up and everything, and it really sets the tone
Hmm.
for my day, and so I feel like that right there is a huge success to be like, I'm going to just put myself first for this specific thing. And
Hmm.
and then it's got these other positives because of that, my
Yeah.
like feel better, I'm more confident. um I mean, other people have commented, which is always, it's a nice that people notice that they're like, oh wow, like, and it's not, oh my gosh, necessarily like you've lost weight. It's like, wow, like you can really see a difference in like your body composition. And quite honestly, I never knew you could do that with working out 4 times a day and then walking. I walk on my walking pad while I work. And there was one day where I got, I was thinking back to my old ways, and I was like, Lindsay, maybe I should work out like 5 days a week. And she was like, you're good. Like you're
Yeah.
getting great results, and reining that back in. But if you had told me that with strength training 4 days a week and just walking, like you don't have to run, that I would get such great results, I would not have believed you.
Hmm.
So
It's fun when
yeah,
that clicks.
yeah, yeah. And then my experience overall has just been really fantastic. When I talk to people that are asking me about, what it is, I always feel like I fail a little bit in really truly like emulating what takes place. Like the community of women and everybody follow, like not only the community of women that are working out that are members, but then the coaches. It really like when I actually look forward to when I check in and Lindsay's responses, because they're so thorough and thoughtful. She's not just responding like super quick, like, okay, you did great.
Yeah.
Your
Keep it
image,
up.
yeah, your photos look great. Like she actually goes through like point by point and then speaks to that. And it really, number one, feels like you have somebody in your corner, because I think we all talk about it as women, but it's like to really, because we all have like, our own individual struggles, and having those addressed. And then also, like I said, Lindsay being like, okay, you've told me you have a history of like going too much and burning out. So no, we're not going to do 5 workouts. Like you're just going to stick with the 4, and maybe I'll add in an extra set. But I feel like the women, it is such a tight community and everybody supports everybody. And I have tried workout programs before that were in person, and I watched where they would say one thing to the women, to the members, and then they would do completely different, like the coaches. And so it's like, okay, you eat paleo, but I'm going to go to the drive through every day. And it's just like, okay, but we're sitting here white knuckling it through paleo.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
so, yeah, I just love that it really feels like like having people there. You can message in, the Facebook group, and people share recipes all the time, which is always super helpful, because you all have the same goals. Even if your macros aren't the same, you're looking for those healthy things or ways to fit things into your macros. So yeah. And then also just celebrating everybody's wins to see what all the other women out there are doing.
Yeah.
And, it's also just, it's nice to feel like you're not alone, you
Mm.
know?
Yeah, it pushes you for sure to be around people that are working hard. It makes it easier for you to want to show up if you're like, okay, they're pushing too. Yes, and another question for you is, do you have any specific like thoughts or advice on the woman who maybe she looks good? Like in my mind, like a lot of the women we work with have a long way to go or a lot of weight to lose or, but you're someone I feel like you looked good before. You probably were one of those people where people are like, why do you need to do that? Like you look, you already looked good, but you wanted like something more. Like you wanted next level. You knew you could look a little better, feel a little better, just reach a different level for yourself. So what do you say to someone like that, that maybe they're not like unhappy, they don't like hate their bodies, but they know that they could do a little more. They want to look really good or they want to feel really good or they just want to take care of themselves. Do you have any thoughts for that woman?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like mine is kind of twofold answer here, because I do come from a part of my life where, I've tried everything. I stress ate a lot after my first was born. And so I get a lot of questions already before the Slay Squad, where, they'd be like, oh, but what would you know? I've had women, what would you know about? And I'm like, well, at one point I was 200 pounds. and they, and they look at me and I pull up my picture and they'd be like, oh my gosh. And I was like, so I come from, that's where like, I don't want to get back to that. Right.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, and I love food and it loves me
Yeah.
too. And but that was also losing that weight in that time frame in my life, was very extreme. And, and since then, yes, I've had like, besides my third pregnancy, I've really, I've had, a pretty consistent, like healthy weight. But on the other end of that, having had that for a while, I would say it's really nice to, even though I wasn't, I didn't feel like I had a lot to lose, um, really just being able to fit into like things and just feel better
Hmm.
overall. Like
Yeah.
it really, like I noticed like I've always had a hard time with my legs. It's genetic. Like, it's just it is, I always get that. But it's like being able to build out a workout program Lindsay did, because I said I want better like leg muscles, right? And like seeing those come to like seeing that work and seeing them slowly, like I'm like, wow, like I kind of am getting, I was walking down the stairs and I had like a little cut in my thigh, like tiny. But yeah, but right there, it's that feeling. And so I would tell women it's the feeling that like, yes, you don't have to push yourself to the extreme. But I love that now, like whenever I put on clothes, like I hate feeling like bloated or like, and I just feel like with the nutrition protocols that I have and the workouts, that every day, like I just feel like the best version of me right now.
Hmm. Yes.
And then, it's not about a number. It's not like it used to be, right? That I'd be like, oh, I want to be the smallest. But there was a point in my life I was the smallest and I still wasn't happy.
Hmm.
So, for me, it really is that mind body connection where it's like, I just like how it makes me feel. Like, yes, do I look nice? Yes. But I also love that I can carry around my very heavy 2.5 year old, without, like breaking a sweat. Like she's heavy and she wants me to carry her. And I feel like, I can run around with my kids. I can go and do active things. And that's just something you really can't put a price on,
Right.
because as I get older, I will be 42 in May. You can tell like your body is different. Like, and we take, I'll say this to the women that are younger that are like, why? I'm fine. But it's like once you hit a certain age, it really does change.
Hmm.
And it's not even things that you're doing. It's just it is the natural like evolution of what's going to happen. And so honestly, I had put it off for a long time, and then we had a lot of stuff going on in our lives, and I realized that I was like, if I don't do it now, if I don't join, when will I? In a year, 5 years? And it really does have to do with just so much more than just weight loss, just inches lost. It's just
Hmm.
really like making you feel good, like
Hmm.
about you,
Yep.
because and I love that we don't focus, like, yes, we talk about the wins, we talk about, goal weight and pounds lost, inches, but also there's this like underlying, I would say vibe, but underlying like feeling of that's not what it's all about. It's
Right.
about, like, because we celebrate all the wins.
Right. Some people need to gain weight. The scale is just, a number. It really depends. If you need to lose 50 pounds, we celebrate when you get healthy, people
Mhm.
losing weight. But if you need to gain weight, get your period back, we celebrate you gaining weight and getting your period back.
Yeah.
Everything's so personal.
Yeah. And that's what I love. I really think it is, an amazing program, and just the camaraderie. And I also love that I can do all my workouts at home,
Yeah.
because that is not, I'm not able to drive right now. So I wouldn't be able to make it to the gym. And so that would have been another kind of nail in the coffin. I'd have been like, well, I
Yeah.
can't do it. Another excuse, but I also am much more likely to make it to my workouts if all I have to do is go down the stairs.
Yeah.
And so I love it. I
And
really,
you've built so much muscle at home, so that's
yeah,
amazing.
yes. Like I said earlier, I would not have believed when it was like 4 days. And I think like my first 8 week program, I was just like, oh my gosh, like it's how I was like, I'm just doing what she says. And like, and even then I was still getting used to tracking. So I wasn't exactly, like,
Hmm.
you know, as on point as now I kind because I remember Lindsay saying, well, you'll play with them. And I was like, I don't know what that means. And then now I realize that like at the end of the day, when I might need, a few more carbs, because I am forever a very low carb girly from years and years. So it's always that one thing that I'm like, oh, she's like, just grab a handful of berries and it works every time. And you're still eating healthy.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah. Awesome. And last question for you is, would you recommend the Slay Squad to your friends and family?
I would definitely recommend the Slay Squad to everybody. I think it really is a great part of my my day, my life. I look forward to the team calls where we get to talk to each other or we get to learn about, different things. And then I also, four people have already asked me. I always take out my phone and I'm like, look at this app. And one of the things for me is that it's all in one spot. And I think that it doesn't really get talked about enough, but like that is huge to me that my workouts are there, all my tracking. I've done apps where you had to track in a notebook. I'm not doing that. And I can look up in 2 seconds while I'm waiting for my next set to what I did last time. And I can like continually progress, like through every workout. And then my food, my water intake. I love the walking feature where I can literally get on the walking pad and just track it.
Hmm.
And then I just stop it and it's all there. And then I can message my coach. Like everything is in one location. And for a busy mom, that I already get overwhelmed with all of our social and all of the technology that we have.
Yeah.
Um, it makes it easy. And I really believe if you make it easy, if you make the app easy, the nutrition and the workouts, then there's no reason like I have very little excuse to do those things.
I
And so
love it. No, I just appreciate that you notice because I've also been in programs myself of, workouts are in a PDF and then you track food in MyFitnessPal and you screenshot it and text
Mhm.
it or email it to your coach. I've had that. Like, or I would have to put my pictures side by side week to week and send them over and like all these shots. Like, it was a lot of work to check in. I remember being like, this is like a part-time job to check in with all the steps and apps and things I've had to do. So for us, streamlining it and making sure that we have, even though it's been an investment, like having something, an app where everything is in one place has been really, really critical. So I'm so glad it helps you.
Yeah. I no, I love it. It basically I open it probably the most of any app that I have. But I would recommend just the ease of use, the support that you get from a coach, the community. I mean, you get support in the team calls from the coaches that aren't even your like coach.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
yeah, I would recommend it. And I would say that unlike me, who waited and watched one of my friends who was posting, and I kept wondering, I was like, what? She just keeps posting about this Slay Squad. And I checked it out and I waited about 9 months. And my only thing I would tell people is just don't wait so long. Like, just women, like, if you're going to do one thing for yourself, this should be it. This should be the thing.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And thanks for taking time to share your journey with us.
You're welcome. Thank you.